Every human mind obeys a simple law. It will always choose psychological safety over visible progress. When you feel unmotivated, what you are experiencing is not laziness. It is protection. The mind is not designed to make you productive. It is designed to keep you safe from uncertainty. And uncertainty is interpreted as danger. This is the hidden mechanism most people never see. You tell yourself you lack discipline. You assume you need more inspiration. You search for routines, hacks, productivity systems. But the problem is not a lack of drive. It is a silent war between your desire for growth and your need for control. The mind fears what it cannot predict. Every meaningful action carries uncertainty. Starting the project, sending the message, applying for the opportunity, speaking your opinion. Each action opens a door to outcomes you cannot control. Rejection, failure, exposure, loss of status, loss of certainty. The mind calculates this instantly. And when the perceived risk feels greater than the reward, it activates a defense. That defense feels like procrastination. It feels like distraction. It feels like not in the mood. But what it really is hesitation disguised as fatigue. Overthinking is not deep intelligence. It is the mind attempting to reduce uncertainty by simulating every possible outcome. It believes that if it thinks long enough, it will eliminate risk. But risk cannot be eliminated. So the thinking continues, and action is postponed. You experience this as low motivation. Yet the truth is more precise. You are not unmotivated. You are overexposed to imagined consequences. Consider a simple observation. A person opens a blank document to begin an important proposal. They adjust the font. They resize the margins. They reread the title. Then they close the file without writing a single sentence. That is the entire story. No drama. No background. One observable action. Now examine what this proves. The person did not lack ability. They did not lack time. They avoided the part that carried uncertainty. Writing something imperfect. Formatting felt safe. Writing felt vulnerable. The mind chose control over progress. This is the pattern. We mistake comfort tasks for effort. We mistake thinking for preparation. We mistake delay for strategy. But beneath all of it is the same force. The desire to avoid psychological exposure. Exposure is the feeling that your competence, your worth, or your judgment could be evaluated. An evaluation creates unpredictability. In relationships, this appears as hesitation to express interest. You analyze texts. You delay replies strategically. You rehearse conversations in your head. You tell yourself you're being careful. In reality, you are attempting to control the outcome before it happens. At work, it appears as endless research. More courses, more preparation, more refining. You tell yourself you are not ready yet. But readiness is often a fantasy designed to delay exposure. In decision-making, it becomes paralysis. You weigh options for weeks. You seek opinions. You create pros and cons lists. The mind believes that one more piece of information will remove uncertainty. It never does. Because the discomfort is not caused by lack of data. It is caused by the inability to guarantee a result. This is where the misunderstanding begins. The problem is not that you lack motivation. It is that your mind equates action with loss of control. The problem is not laziness. It is resistance to uncertainty. Notice the difference. Laziness implies weakness. Resistance implies protection. Protection is intelligent. It has kept you safe before. But what once protected you can quietly imprison you. The mind prefers predictable dissatisfaction over unpredictable possibility. Predictable dissatisfaction feels stable. Unpredictable possibility feels dangerous. So you scroll, you reorganize, you prepare, and you call it low motivation. There is another layer. When you overthink, you experience the illusion of progress. Thinking feels productive. It consumes energy. It feels serious, but does not risk anything. Action risks something, and risk activates fear. Fear narrows focus. It exaggerates potential loss. It minimizes potential gain. This distortion is subtle. You begin to believe the task is larger than it is, more complicated, more consequential. But the size of the task has not changed. Only your perception of exposure has increased. This is why motivation often appears after you begin, not before. Once action starts, uncertainty reduces. The unknown becomes known. The mind relaxes. Momentum replaces hesitation. This reveals a crucial principle. Motivation is not the cause of action. It is often the result. The mind waits for certainty before acting. But certainty is created through action, so the waiting never ends. You must understand what your mind is trying to protect. It is protecting identity. If you try and fail, your self-image is threatened. If you never try, your self-image remains intact. An untested potential feels safer than a visible imperfection. This is the deeper reason you feel stuck. You are preserving an image of yourself. Capable, smart, full of promise. As long as you do not act, that image cannot be disproven. Action invites evidence, and evidence can contradict identity. So the mind delays. It tells you that you're tired, that you need clarity, that tomorrow will be better. But tomorrow carries the same uncertainty as today. The mechanism does not disappear with time. It disappears with exposure. This requires a shift in interpretation. The problem is not that you need more confidence. It is that you're trying to eliminate risk. The problem is not that you lack discipline. It is that you overvalue control. Control is comforting, but growth is inherently unstable. Every new level of competence begins with visible incompetence. Every meaningful conversation begins with the possibility of rejection. Every creative act begins with something flawed. The mind resists this phase. It wants the outcome without the uncertainty. But that sequence does not exist. When you feel unmotivated, pause. Do not accuse yourself. Observe. Ask one precise question. What uncertainty am I trying to avoid? Not what task. Not what goal. What uncertainty? Is it judgment? Is it failure? Is it irrelevance? Is it the loss of being the capable one? Once you see the uncertainty clearly, the fog lifts. The feeling of low motivation becomes transparent. It is simply fear wearing the mask of fatigue. And fear is not a command. It is information. The mind is signaling risk. You decide whether the risk is worth taking. Most people attempt to remove fear before acting. This is backward. Fear reduces after exposure, not before. The calm approach is not to hype yourself into motion. It is to shrink the exposure. Write one imperfect sentence. Send one direct message. Make one visible decision. The mind learns through evidence. Small exposures rewrite their calculations. Gradually, uncertainty loses its exaggerated power. You begin to see that the threat was never as large as predicted, and motivation appears quietly, not as exciting, but as willingness. Understand this clearly. You are not broken. You are not deficient. You are running an ancient survival mechanism in a modern environment. In the past, uncertainty meant physical danger. Today, it often means social or psychological discomfort. The body does not distinguish easily between the two, so it hesitates. Once you recognize the pattern, the spell weakens. Unmotivation becomes data. Overthinking becomes a signal. Delay becomes a clue. The mind will always seek control. But progress requires contact with the unknown. There is no dramatic solution. No emotional breakthrough required. Only recognition. When you feel unmotivated, you are not empty of drive. You are protecting yourself from exposure. See the protection. Acknowledge it. Then move, slightly, into uncertainty. Not recklessly, deliberately. Over time, you will notice something subtle. The unknown stops feeling like danger. It begins to feel like territory. And the energy you once called motivation reveals itself for what it truly is. Permission to act despite uncertainty. That permission was always yours. The mind simply needed proof that you would survive it.